NBA awards are very hard to predict. Every season there are players that break out, players that get hurt, and let's be honest, the awards are narrative driven. Team success, public perception, and storyline all play a huge role in voting. All that aside, in this video, I will be predicting this year's award winners. Starting off, we have Rookie of the Year. Paolo Banchero will win Rookie of the Year. He was the number one pick for a reason. We already knew he was a tremendous playmaker and can attack the basket coming into the draft, but his summer league play showed that the skepticism around his defense and shooting aren't serious. The best thing Paolo has going for him though is his frame. Paolo is a legit 6'10", 250 pounds of muscle. Paolo's body is not only NBA ready, he's bigger and stronger than most players already. While Chet is unfortunately missing all of next season, the biggest concern about him was his frame. And then, number 3 overall pick, Jabari Smith Jr. needs to put on some weight as well. Another thing that's great with Paolo is his versatility. In the Summer League, Paolo showcased his handle and playmaking as a point forward, even frequently bringing up the ball as a point guard. Paolo can run 3 to 5 with ease. That being said, he would be most likely used as the power forward in Orlando. The only legit contender for minutes in Orlando at the 4 would be Jonathan Isaac, but he hasn't played since the bubble due to an ACL tear, and Orlando hasn't even announced when he's returning yet. Opportunity is also a huge factor. The other top rookies like Keegan Murray, Jaden Ivey, and Jabari Smith Jr. all have players who are the clear number 1 options on their team, while Orlando doesn't have that. Orlando is a very deep team, but Paolo should become the centerpiece of the offense very quickly. Next is the most improved player. Anthony Edwards will win most improved this year. This award is surprisingly easy to predict from recent winners. If you look at the previous 6 winners, they all have one thing in common. They were all players who took the jump from solid role player / borderline all-star to first-time all-star, or in last year's case, borderline all-star to superstar. The award also hasn't gone to a second-year player since 2003 when Gilbert Arenas won it, so that's another unwritten rule. Edwards is primed to win this year though. Last year, Ant was without a doubt a borderline all-star. He had strong averages, and with the departure of Malik Beasley, he should be able to get a couple more shots up per game this year. Ant also previewed his next step in the playoffs, where his scoring shot up to 25 points per game. Not only will Ant assert himself as a bona fide all-star this year, the Timberwolves should also be pretty good. While team success isn't really a factor in most improved, it is in all-star selections, and it definitely won't hurt his campaign. Now, MVP. It seems like he's been the favorite for the past few years now, but I think 2023 is finally the year. Luka Doncic will be this year's MVP. Luka's had MVP caliber seasons the past 3 years, and there's no reason for him not to continue. One of the things holding Luka away from an MVP is team success. While the Mavericks haven't had bad teams by any means, they just haven't been elite. But even still, eventually the media has to cave in. Another reason Luka hasn't won an MVP yet is the way he starts off the season. Luka always seems to start the season out of shape. Sure, all the talent is there, and of course he's still elite, but he appears gassed by the end of games. Luka himself admitted this on the Old Man in the 3 podcast in March. Him acknowledging this flaw means that he'll probably change it this upcoming season, and a full season of conditioned Luka means better play and more team success for the Mavericks. Let's take a look at some of the other contenders though. Sure, the Nuggets could improve greatly with the re-additions of Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr., but they're very injury prone, and voter fatigue is a real thing. Unless Jokic can somehow repeat last season, with the Nuggets being the best team in basketball, he won't win 3 MVPs in a row. Joel Embiid is another contender. Embiid's past 2 seasons have been insane, and he has nothing to show for it. James Harden also looks to be in terrific shape this offseason, so the Sixers could be serious contenders to win the East. Similar to Murray and Porter Jr. though, Embiid and Harden are both very injury prone. If one of them gets hurt, Philly's record will suffer greatly, strongly hurting Embiid's MVP chances. Luka, on the other hand, always offers a reliable 65 plus games, and his team isn't very top heavy in stars, outside Luka of course, so a couple injuries won't harm the Mavs record too much. The last major contender is Giannis. Giannis had another MVP caliber season last year, but the awards seem to be a 2-man race. The voting showed this, where Jokic received 65 first place votes, Embiid 26, and Giannis only 9. Most of this is voter fatigue, and the fact that the Bucks would rather have their players be fresh for the playoffs. Yes, Giannis will be a contender for the MVP this year, but the media wants new players winning the awards, deliberately or not. Fatigue and bias are real. Luka will be the MVP. Next, Defensive Player of the Year. Bam Adebayo will be this year's DPOY. To win the award, not only do you need to be an elite defender, you need to be on a team with an elite defense, and of course, being a big man helps a lot. Bam meets all of these requirements. There's a legit argument that Bam can guard 1 through 5, and the Heat are an excellent defensive team. Last year, Bam would have won the award if it wasn't for his injuries, so it won't be a surprise for him to win in 2023. There are some contenders. It will be interesting to see perennial DPOY candidate Ben Simmons return on a new team, but the surrounding Nets roster can't support an elite defense. Rudy Gobert will also be elite as usual, but the T-Wolves probably won't field an elite defense as well, as voter fatigue working against Rudy. Now, 6th man of the year. Jordan Poole will win the 6th man. He's currently the betting favorite, and it's for a reason. Last year, Poole averaged 18.5 points per game of great efficiency, but he started 51 out of 76 games. But in the playoffs, when the Warriors were fully healthy, Poole shifted to the bench, where he still averaged 17 points per. Poole will likely have a similar role to Tyler Heroes from last year. He'll likely come off the bench, but still average a substantial 30 minutes or so per game. This will allow him to still produce quality scoring and statistics. And another thing to note with Poole is his age. He's only 23, and he just keeps improving. Coach of the year usually goes to the coach of the best regular season team, or sometimes to the coach of a team that overachieves. My prediction is Chris Finch of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Rudy Gobert has proven that he can steer teams to an elite regular season record. This should be no different in Minnesota. Along with Rudy, Ant will likely take the leap towards All-Star this year, making the Timberwolves an elite regular season team that can field the coach of the year. So those are my 2023 awards predictions. If you agree, let me know in the comment section down below, as well as if you disagree. Like always, I'm Lance with Ball Withdrawal. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, keep an eye out for future videos, and I'll see you then. Thanks.